Well, hello and welcome back. We are continuing season 28. We are continuing an interview with Phil, and we are still Developreneur. We are building better developers. We are a podcast. I am a founder. I am Rob Broadhead, one of the founders of Developreneur, also the founder of RB Consulting, where we help you find clarity before you jump into that big project. We help make sure that you do not spend a lot of money that you would rather not spend by essentially throwing it in the trash. Instead, let's make sure that it is a wise investment and you get a really good return on that. Good thing and bad thing. Good thing is, this is the curse of plenty, basically. A good thing is when the podcast is rolling well and we've got all kinds of connections and we've got requests to be guests and we are speakers and we've got people coming on the show and all that kind of stuff. It is awesome. It is great. It is fun. The downside is it sucks a lot of time out of our day. And it's like, you get to the end of the day, like, what did I get done? It's like, oh yeah, I spent hours working on interviews and, both sides of the camera or the mic, as it were. So that being said, I think we'll go to this side of our mic and let him introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Mike Kamalas. I'm one of the co-founders of Building Better Developers, also known as Developreneur. I'm also the founder of Envision QA, where we fix broken systems and replace the guesswork with tested, dependable solutions built around your business. Good thing and bad thing. Good thing, hey, we're doing yet another interview, continuing our interview. These are great. I enjoy them. But yes, sometimes they do take up a little bit of our time, especially when we get stuck in the pivotal meetings, like daily meetings, when you have a lot of those going on. But this is kind of the light at the end of the tunnel in those meeting days. So looking forward to our continued conversation with Phil.
Yes, very much so. And I know you guys are all doing the same. So let's just dive right into it. Here we go. Back to, this is now part 2, continuing our conversation with Phil Crowley. Now, I want to switch back a little bit and as we pivot here and sort of like put a pin in one of the thoughts that you mentioned, which I thought was great, and I don't want it to be missed on anybody, is the idea of, from LLMs searching for data and the source of their data, that they could actually present you with a form for whatever it is, contract, for example, let's say a simple statement of work contract that is actually the worst possible example because LLM sees it show up all the time. The reason it showed up all the time is because it was in a very big legal battle and it was contested. So it's yes. Literally, it's the one it knows the most. It doesn't necessarily connect that is actually the absolute last one that you should recommend. Which leads me to shifting gears a little bit back, more back to your book. It's fascinating to me that you've spent 20 years or 20 plus years with Johnson & Johnson, for anybody that knows, not a small company. And then you write a book about the failures of startups, the legal failures there. And I'm really curious, what is the connection between those two, or how did you go from what you experienced with J&J to writing the book?
Well, in my practice at Johnson & Johnson, I was kind of on the big company side of the table, and I saw a lot of small companies. And I saw some instances of companies where the founders basically had been kicked to the curb for one reason or another. And during this period of time, I was a proud graduate of Stevens Institute of Technology in New Jersey. And I've been on the board of trustees for over 30 years. So I have seen a lot of technology commercialization, and a lot of the problems that young companies experience. And so I took that experience over a period of time and developed, I don't know if this will show up, I guess, I can't get it to show up, but it's the book, Avoid Startup Failures, because I wanted to make it easy for people to see the effects of making these various mistakes. And human beings are kind of programmed to learn from stories. So it's just a lot easier to remember the story and remember what happened to our champion by the name of Sam Champion. and see what happens. So it's an amalgam of things that I have experienced and I've tried to help my clients avoid over the years. So I've been, at my firm, established my firm at this point 11 years ago. So I've seen a lot directly in terms of people who come to me after they have avoided having, as we would say, the benefit of clergy uh, before entering into a contract with an investor. And then they're sort of stuck with that for the remainder of the term of the investment, which is why I think it's important to talk to lawyers earlier, which is why I think there's tremendous value in accelerators, technology accelerators. I'm on the board also of Ben Franklin Technology Partners of Northeastern Pennsylvania. It's one of the largest networks of accelerators in the United States. And you can get a lot of free advice from experienced mentors. So I think before you go out and start your business, talking to people who have had experience in the business can help get you to the right technology advisors, financial advisors, and legal advisors, because you're not alone out there. And there's so many states in the United States that are trying to put these accelerators and financing vehicles together because everybody wants innovators. So there's a thirst and a hunger for people who can create businesses, create jobs, create new products and services that leads to helpful structures and entities, accelerators, and then there are state programs. And so a good startup lawyer can get you connected with or help you find the resources within the state that are really geared to help you start and succeed, or at least move forward with your particular idea for a company.
I like that, and the idea of incubators and things like that to help essentially get a company started. And it leads to something I was thinking as you mentioned your hero of Sam Champion. And as I have done something similar, and as I was going through the failures, it felt like it should be more like Bob, oh no, here we go again kind of thing. And so for the 10 stories and examples that you have that Sam goes through, are they really, like, we'll call them like sort of avoidable or rookie mistakes? They're the kinds of things that yes, they resonate, but they're also actually fairly easy to put yourself in a situation to avoid them as a startup owner.
Yes. The idea is to recognize it. It's as if you're, as an entrepreneur, you're blindfolded and you are walking through a field that you know is full of landmines. And what your lawyer can do is kind of guide you around the landmines so that you don't step on those legal landmines. Now, that doesn't eliminate the technology risk and the business risk, but at least it sets you up so that you're not derailed as a result of, for instance, working as you see in the book, working with a professor in the regime where it's publish or perish, and they have a potentially patentable invention that they go and disclose at a meeting. Well, when it's in the public domain, it's no longer subject to patent protection. So that one development went out the window because you need patents or some other way of protecting your intellectual property to make it truly valuable.
So I love that, because I was actually thinking about that, and glad you touched on it. In the software realm, because there's so many different entities out there, there's so many different competition. How do you know if your idea is patentable? If you can protect your intellectual property? I've talked to a couple different lawyers, and one of the problems I have is I live in a rural area. I'm not in Nashville anymore. I'm not in Memphis. And it is very hard to find local lawyers where I can talk face to face that have the experience in these areas. Like they can understand like book publishing, but when it comes to software and technology, it's really hard to have that conversation. It's really hard to find the right person or get direction. Other than like scouring the internet and getting thousands of hits, what is your recommendation to help us narrow down the people we need to, the lawyers we need to find to help us answer these questions or even ask those questions of our business? Because we may have holes where we're losing money or potentially losing our product, our skin, because we don't have the legal barriers in place to protect our business.
Right. Well, these days, Michael, you, particularly as a technology expert, can use Claude or ChatGPT to do a search on the internet with the criteria that I was mentioning to you. You know, find me websites of lawyers that have experience in developing and representing technology companies and have some kind of a technology background. And you'd be surprised what you can come up with. I had a wonderful experience last month. I had a cancer genetics researcher who is with a worldwide reputation, who is in a United Nations site in Kampala, Uganda, who used ChatGPT to find us in New Jersey. And I thought it was just amazing. And now that you know that you can specify what the lawyer has to know about, you can narrow your search to lawyers who, you know, have that background and experience, because not all lawyers are created equal. And you certainly wouldn't want to come to our firm for a major estate plan, or if you're having trouble with your spouse and are looking for a divorce. But in the area where we specialize, if you find specialists, I think you can find people who are really attuned to focusing on the particular problems and issues in your particular area. And the way we help our clients is we have a network of people who do other things. I have a large network of patent and intellectual property lawyers. And when someone comes to us with a potentially patentable invention, we send them off to the right boutique patent firm that deals with their technology, whether it's electronics or software or consumer products. And there are firms that have various specialties. And if you can get somebody who is a specialist in the area that you need, you tend to get better service at a lower cost than going to a big, prestigious general purpose firm that does everything for everybody and may have kind of uneven quality. They may be great at litigation, not so good at wills and trusts, and maybe a little bit better in technology area. But if you can find the firm that specializes in what you're looking for, you may find that you get the best product and people who really have an interest and experience in the kind of issues that come up that you may not be aware of yet.
So to follow up on that, just real quick, Rob, I love how you mentioned using ChatGPT and using AI, but as Rob mentioned, sometimes you get the worst of the search or the criteria back because they're the ones in the news the most. So what are some ways of using AI, since you've mentioned using AI, for technical people to ask about specific law advice or to find the right lawyers with AI? Now, I know everyone says prompts are dead these days, but for technologists like writing programming software, we know what to put into AI. But if I just say, find me a lawyer for this, I could get 100,000 hits. And then I have to go spend more time hitting the websites, doing the additional research, which I don't have time for. So how
Right.
can I shortcut this a little bit more to get better results from AI to help me kind of jumpstart my legal search, so to speak?
Well, Mike, I think the more specific you can be about your business and your needs, the higher the likelihood that you will find a list of lawyers who have the right background and experience. And the other thing is to use your own professional networks to talk to people about lawyers that they have used. I find that getting a personal recommendation from somebody gives me a greater feeling of comfort that I'm dealing with somebody who has at least been able to deal successfully with one of my friends or colleagues. So it's the human dimension as well as the impersonal AI search dimension, but it does pay off to get out there, find a lawyer, and then have a conversation, because the real benefit of a relationship with a business lawyer is having them understand enough about your business to suggest to you things that you can do to better protect yourself, sometimes to uh, build the business.
So what for someone that's starting out, because legal is one of the things I think a lot of people think can be never ending and can get very expensive. What are maybe let's say one or two things that are the biggest bang for the buck, or the most critical things that somebody should look at when they're starting out from a legal point of view, whether it's business structure, making sure contracts right, or whatever those those specialty areas that you've already talked about?
All right. Well, number one, having a business plan to show how is the business going to be set up initially. What is your plan for the next 3 to 5 years? Because that will drive the selection of the type of limited liability entity that you form, a limited liability company or a corporation, and then who you're going to use as your tax advisor, because there are tax effects for having a limited liability company and having a corporation. And you really have to understand those so that you can choose the right one and learn when to switch if you're going to switch. Then, once you have that in place, you can find a lawyer to start having a relationship with to help you form your company and then learn how to operate it in a way that maximizes limited liability protection. Here's a case in point. You form your limited liability company, and then all the contracts, you will take you as the victim in this particular case, Rob. And you form your Rob Broadhead LLC, but you write all the contracts as Rob Broadhead, so that they're not in the name of the entity. And so you're taking on personal liability without recognizing it. Or you set up Rob Broadhead Inc. And you set up the company, and then you enter into contracts with various people and take various actions, but you never authorize them by the board of through the board of directors, and you don't follow the corporate niceties and record keeping requirements, and don't pay your franchise taxes, and you go inactive. And so the corporation goes dormant, and you have no limited liability protection. So those are the kinds of things where it's helpful to have a lawyer's guidance. But again, for young companies, look for those accelerators. I mean, there are law firms and lawyers that provide office hours or free services to clients of particular accelerators. And if you can get yourself into one of those accelerators, you can learn a great deal about the legal requirements and legal techniques to protect yourself with a lawyer, and then find a lawyer who is really interested in representing technology companies and not, of course we do technology companies, we do divorces, we do wills, we do litigation, we do everything. But finding somebody who specializes in your niche is an important part of your successful choice for your legal counsel, and somebody that you can establish a relationship with so that they sort of know your business. And what we try to do is have a check-in with our clients at the end of the year and go through, what's happening in the business, what sorts of things are you seeing, what risks are you undertaking, and find lawyers who are willing to engage at that level. So getting recommendations from your friends and colleagues, doing the internet search, and talking to lawyers and finding lawyers who want to communicate with technology entrepreneurs.
That's excellent. That was actually, you jumped right into my next question, was essentially how often should we check in and keep that relationship going once we've set up a good relationship and found our ideal attorney corporate legal relationship. I want to thank you so much for hanging out with us. This has been great, but this is one of those things we could probably do a whole season on your experience alone. I hate that we were only able to just scratch the surface in a few of these areas. You've mentioned your book, but I'd definitely like to get out to those that have been listening. What are some of the best ways to get a hold of you and your book, or if you have other books that would be things that would be great resources for our audience?
Sure. My book, which is Avoid Startup Failure, which you can find on Amazon. So you can Google that, search on Amazon, or search it for Philip P. Crowley. If you'd like to contact us, you can contact us at info@CrowleyLawLLC.com. That's info@CrowleyLawLLC.com. Or you can call up our office. We're in the Eastern time zone in the United States, 844-256-5891. That's 844-256-5891. And if you go out to our website, CrowleyLawLLC.com, you can sign up for a complimentary consultation, and we'll talk with you about your particular situation and whether or not we can help you. And if we can't help you, to see whether or not someone else in our network of coordinated law firms and individual solo practitioners might be able to help you with your particular problem. Because, my view is we're here to help.
Excellent. That is a nice, thorough way to get a hold of you. I love that. There will be links in the show note and this information as well for those of you that are driving along, listening, or something like that, so you don't have to pull over and take notes real quick. Thanks so much for your time. I appreciate you coming out here and having a great conversation with us. All of you that are listening, you can put your pencils down now. I think you can stop taking notes for a few minutes and go check out the website. And it's always very useful, I think, to take advantage of free advice, particularly in cases like this, because it may very well direct you into a very critical place that you need to be, so you don't get yourself in a list and be Sam Champion's next victim, basically, or story of victimhood. As always, go out there and have yourself a great day, a great week, and we will talk to you next time. And so for bonus material from the YouTube side of it, what would be, I'm going to throw it out to you, either a piece of advice, additional advice for startups that you would like to throw out there to founders or startup organizations, or maybe a challenge of something they could do that some people in our audience can do this week to improve their understanding of their legal situation.
Well, I can give them a tip.
Perfect.
When you are setting up your company with particularly with other co-founders, it's very important to sit down and have a common view about what the business is and how each of you will want to relate to it, so that everybody knows who's going to be full-time, who's going to be part-time, what the relative equity interest is, and to talk about vesting. This is an area where many founders don't focus on, and so they wind up getting together and giving three people, everybody equal, the three musketeers. So everybody gets 1/3, and then 6 months later, one person has a family emergency and they have to leave the business. And after another year, another person gets burned out and goes to an ashram in Cambodia. And there's one person left doing all the work. And then if they're successful, the person who did all the work only gets 1/3 of the payout. And the other people who are not there still get their payout. So having in mind vesting and explicit written expectations of people so that everybody's on the same page. And so it really helps people to agree on what they're going to agree when they're still talking to each other, when tempers are not flaring. Because what I found is sometimes people act against their own self-interest when they get really angry and emotional, just to make sure that the other person is hurt. Mm-hmm. Because when emotions get involved, it's sometimes not rational thinking. So while the founders are still friendly, talking to each other, it's a good time to map out as much of the business as you can, realizing that it's an uncertain future, but the relationship that the founders intend with one another is an important part of setting up the business and thinking about, so that you can forestall problems that can ruin a business. Personal disputes can sink a business because people get so involved in fighting about things that the business goes down the tubes.
I love that. I think that is wise wisdom in any case, is make big decisions while you're being rational, not while you're being emotional. That's
right.
In business, I think I love that example, that story. I don't know how many times that I have seen that, been a part of it, seen the good and the bad outside of it, because it is. We all start in a certain place, and we don't always end up in the same place. And those, we have to be able to prepare for those eventualities and make sure that everybody is handling it in the best possible way. So take it when everybody's friendly and happy at the beginning, which is typically the best time for everybody to just say, okay, let's be fair. Let's make sure we agree to what the right thing is to do. So thank you so much. That was, I think, for everybody that's hung around and watched the YouTube version of this, that was definitely more than worth the wait. Incredibly valuable tip. And I just, again, want to thank you for your time, for hanging out here, for sharing so much of your wisdom. Everybody that's listening, I definitely urge you to. I think that book is one of those, I don't know if I'm going to go all the way up to must read. That feels like it's pushing it too much, but I think it's got to be right up there, because anything that can help you early on avoid making mistakes that Sam Champion has made all over the place are going to just save you, time, headaches, money, all kinds of other things that I think you'd rather not lose. So,
Rob, I can make a recommendation of two books that I think will be helpful for entrepreneurs. One is Angela Duckworth's book, Grit, which has been probably a New York Times bestseller, and shows the importance of persistence in success and the ability to go through. And there is a book by Shireen Behzadi, Behzadi, called The Unexpected CEO. It's the story of a woman who came to the United States after the Iranian Revolution, started out working as a cashier behind a bulletproof glass in a Los Angeles gas station, went on to get a degree in accounting, worked for Ernst & Young, and became the CEO of a billion-dollar company starting from basically nothing. And it's such an inspiring story. And in the meantime, survived a brain tumor.
Oh, wow.
And a very inspiring story. And then one more book, Positivity, which is a book about the power of positive thinking. And that's certainly something very important for entrepreneurs. Those three books, I think, would make good reading for any current or potential entrepreneur.
I agree 100%. Grit is actually, I've heard her speak a couple of times and found that the book is great, the message is great, but actually the story behind it's another one where the story behind the story is sometimes one of the best parts of it. So definitely we'll get links to those as well. We'll track those down and throw those out because it's always good to have some additional reading. So thank you for that as well. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I appreciate it so much. We will get as we said, beginning, they'll split this into 2 episodes. We'll get those links out. It'll probably this will probably air in about 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, I think is what we're at right now. And we'll get something out beforehand. It'll go out on a Tuesday and a Thursday, and we'll let you know when those are live. We'll get you the video for this, the raw video, hopefully today, maybe tomorrow, something like that, in the next little bit. And feel free to do whatever you would like with that. And all I would ask is whatever you guys do, if you post anything out or anything, CC us or tag us or something, because I just love to see what people do with this, and it's always fun to see what you guys find as useful and important as well. So I will leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. For those of you guys that are listening in, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate you and all that you do investing in yourselves to become better developers, wherever that happens to be in my background. Have yourself a great one, and we will talk to you next time. All right. Well,
super.
Thanks,
I hope
Phil.
that was what you wanted.
100%. That was great. I loved it from the start. Like I said, nobody's ever. I don't always put that pressure on people, but sometimes I even mention at the beginning that everybody we've talked to, as soon as we get the introduction, it's just great from there. I didn't tell you that, but you still are continuing the streak. That it was an incredible conversation. Appreciate your time.
Super. All right. Well, I look forward to promoting your podcast and certainly promoting this particular session.
Sounds good. Thanks a lot. You have a good one.
All right. You too. Take care. I hope your allergies get better.
We'll do what we can. Thank you. Bye.
All right. Take care. Bye.
Take care.